Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another tutorial. My name is Tudor and today I'm gonna be talking about how to use Pyjuque to create multi-time frame strategies. Let's get on with it. So what is Pyjuque? Pyjuque is a library created by myself with the help of a few other people that enables traders to automate their trading strategies without too much effort. The aim of Pyjuque is to enable anyone that has a trading idea to code it up in a very simple way without needing to know too much coding and let it run, and Pyjuque will do all the rest for it. We'll place all the orders, we'll keep track of orders locally in a local database, exit on Signal, entry on Signal, and a myriad of other features. Pyjuque is open source and you can find its code on GitHub right here, and some documentation that allows you to get started with it. But more specifically today, I wanted to show you guys and gals how to use Pyjuque to code multi-time frame strategies. So what is a trading strategy in our case? Well, for the context of this video, a trading strategy is a combination of technical indicators that can let us know whether it is a good time to buy or sell a cryptocurrency. Whereas normally you would calculate the indicators, say, on a 1 hour time frame or on a daily time frame. With a multi-time frame strategy, you can calculate indicators on both of those time frames or on even more, and combine the signals from all of those time frames into one greater signal that will be the basis of your trading. Now, why is a multi-time frame strategy important? Because it offers more power to your trading algorithm, right? Being able to have more data to put in your trading decision making. In a nutshell, this is what we're going to be looking at today. A few updates since the previous video on Pyjuque. I added 2 extra features: being able to simulate a bot. So if you have a strategy, you can A, backtest it, or B, you can forward test it or run it in simulation mode. And the second feature is the ability to exit on exit signals. Whereas before, you were only able to enter trades when you would get a signal based on a technical analysis strategy. Now you can enter or exit trades based on signals received from technical analysis strategies. And at the moment, you can run a strategy and you can also backtest a strategy using the same configuration dict. So trying to make it all very easy for you guys, and for myself included, of course, because I'm also using Pyjuque. Now, I created a new folder where I'm going to write this multi-time frame strategy. First thing I will do is I will create a virtual environment, and the virtual environment is something like a container within which we will be able to install libraries and within which this code will run. And the point of that is maybe other projects will have similar libraries but of different versions, and because we don't want those versions to conflict with each other, we simply create a virtual environment, a container within which we will work, so that we are independent from everything else. So vend by default comes with a Python 3 standard library, so I will only need to write this line, and this will create a virtual environment. It's still loading, but you can see it added here the folder containing information about it. And in order to activate it, we will just run this line of code: source virtual environment /bin/activate. Now we want to install Pyjuque in our virtual environment. And while that's going on in the background there, I'm gonna start writing the code and importing some things. So we'll need the time, the library. We'll also need pandas.ta, which is another awesome library used to calculate technical indicators on pandas data frames. It's really good, and thanks to the guys that put it up together, to Perlig on GitHub. Thanks, mate. And we're going to import the defined_bot function from the Pyjuque library. Now here I can see that we've installed Pyjuque correctly, successfully, and now we're going to install a pandas TA. Okay, cool, all done. If you've watched the previous video, you might remember, and you don't need to have watched it because I'm gonna explain it right now, but you might remember that the way Pyjuque works, the way you configure it, is by creating a dictionary that contains all the necessary information for Pyjuque to run, such as the exchange information, the symbols that you want to run on, the balance, the strategy, and so on. And you provide all this in a dictionary format, and you also provide the strategy, and that's the piece that you actually need to code. And apart from that, there's nothing else that you need to do. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to create this configuration dictionary that we're gonna provide Pyjuque with so that it can do its thing. So it's a simple Python dictionary, and it must contain a few elements, namely the name of the bot, and I'm gonna call it multi-tf bot, the exchange that we will be using, and within the exchange we're gonna have the name of the exchange, and let's put it to Binance. Actually, let's put it to KuCoin, just change things up a little bit, and parameters. And for KuCoin, we absolutely need the API key, we need the secret, and we also need, I think, a password. Might be password or passphrase, but we'll see if this doesn't work. The way the exchange works is, if you've ever heard of the CCXT library, it's this awesome library, thanks to the guy that made it. I think his name is Algo. It's an awesome library that basically combines over 100 exchanges under the same API, meaning that you only need to pass, sometimes you actually don't need to pass anything, but if you want to trade using CCXT, you only need to pass your API credentials for whatever exchange that you have, and most likely CCXT will have it, and then use the same code regardless of the exchange that you are using to place trades and cancel orders and so on and so forth. So it's really awesome. And for Pyjuque, I've built a wrapper around it that can, place the trades and so on and so forth. All the parameters right here are going to be the same as the parameters that you would normally pass in CCXT. Next, we'll have the symbols, and one thing to note here, this is a list. All the symbols need to trade against the same quote asset. In this pair right here, link is the base asset, BTC is the quote asset. So all our symbols need to trade against BTC in this case. Next, we're going to put in the starting balance, and that's going to be denominated in the quote asset. So in our case, in BTC. So I just realized something. On my KuCoin account, I only have USDT. So I will actually change all these guys to USDT. So in that case, I'll also change the starting balance to, say, $10. No, sorry, $100. So what starting balance is the absolute maximum amount that this bot will be able to have in orders on hold. So if I have a starting balance of 100 and each trade will be 10, that means that at any point in time I will only need to have at most 10 orders that are active, that haven't been filled on this bot. Okay, next we'll have the strategy. There are two ways of defining strategies in Pyjuque. In my previous video I went all over over one way, which is the custom strategy. And in this video we will also be using the custom strategy. And for a strategy, because it's custom, we're gonna set the custom flag to true, and we're going to provide an entry function. And this custom entry function I'm going to define in a bit. And another two things that we want: entry settings and exit settings. So for entry settings we have two key elements here. One is the initial entry allocation, and what this does, it says what percentage of our starting balance will we place per trade, per entry. So I want to place say $10 per trade. Because I have a starting balance of 100, I'm gonna say 10%. So 10% of 100 is $10. Actually, to make it clearer, I'm gonna put this as $200, and then I'm gonna put 5 here, and 5% of 200 USDT is equal to 10 USDT per trade. And the second thing that we want to add is the signal distance. And what this specifies is, once we receive a signal, how far below or above, if we're going for shorts, but normally we're going for longs. So how far below the signal price will we place our limit order in percentage. And the exit settings, we'll have two things again here. We'll have the take profit and we'll have the stop loss value. So both of these are in percentage. So take profit 3 means for every trade that we entered, we will place an exit order at 3% above the entry price. And stop loss value is 10%. It means for any trade that we enter, in case the market price of that asset will hit 10% below our entry price, then once it hits below that, then we will place a market order to sell that asset. Two things that we need to do. We need, first of all, to specify our entry function. So I'm gonna go up here and specify it. This custom entry function will get passed onto Pyjuque, and Pyjuque will expose to us through this function two things. Number one, the bot controller, and the bot controller is the central piece of Pyjuque. It's the object that places the orders based on the signals received. It exits from the orders based on the information provided here. In the bot dict, it creates the database to store the orders locally as well, and it does a bunch of things that basically help us with this. So that's the bot controller. And the second thing is the symbol of the asset that we are trading right now, or that we are looking at right now. The strategy that we're going to be coding today is going to look at 3 different time frames: the 15-minute, the 1-hour, and the 4-hour time frames, and it's going to compute 2 exponential moving averages for each of those time frames, and is going to check whether the fast moving average is above the slow moving average for all of those 3 time frames. And if it is, then that is a buy signal. In fact, the actual signal is like, if on the 1-hour and 4-hour the fast moving averages are above the slow moving averages, and if on the 15-minute we just had a crossover between moving averages, meaning that just 5 minutes before the fast moving average was below the slow moving average, but right now it did a crossover, so the fast one is above it, then that's our buy signal. So let's code it. So we're gonna need 3 data frames, and we're gonna take the last 100 candlesticks for all of these time frames for the symbol that gets passed here. So this symbol is just gonna be one of these 3, right, in our case. So what we'll do, through the bot controller, we're gonna access the exchange that gets created based on this thing here, And this exchange, as I mentioned, is a wrapper around CCXT, and it has a few functions, one of each gets candlestick data from the exchange and puts it in a data frame format, which is what we need. And this function is called get OHLCV. And we pass to it the symbol, we pass the time frame, and we also pass the limit of how many candles do we need. We have these 3 time frames, and we want to compute the EMAs on each of them. And we will use a pandas TA for that. And pandas TA has its own concept of a strategy. It basically allows you to combine indicators together and to compute them at the same time on a data frame. So we will be using that. This is a bit different from our strategies, but it's also called a strategy. What this pandas TA strategy does is it takes the name and the kind of indicators that you want to compute. It takes a dict for each of it. So kind and length. We have EMA and length of 20. The second one is EMA and length of 50. And then we use this object to compute the EMAs on our data frames. For more information on how that works, you can check out the pandas TA usage manual or something. They have some documentation about it. This is how we compute the strategy for each time frame. So in order to access the EMA20 indicator or the EMA50, we'll have to write this, we'll have to use this column name. I'll print DF15 here and then DF15 here, just so that you can see how those things look like. Now that we have computed the indicators, what we want to do is make our strategy rules. I've split the strategy into 3 different rules that all of them have to be true at the same time. So we have one rule for the 15-minute data frame, one for the 1 hour, and one for the 4 hours. And the rule for the 1 hour and for the 4 hours, it says that EMA20 is above EMA50, and for the 15 minutes it says that at the very last time step, so right now EMA20 has to be above EMA50, but one step before EMA20 was below EMA50, so that sort of indicates some kind of a reversion in the price direction. Okay, and in the end we must return the signal whether we will enter or not, and the very last price the symbol had. Yeah, and that's it for the strategy. The only thing left to do is to code the loop where Pyjuque will enact its strategy. So in other words, the main function. Okay, so there you have it. We're using the function that we've imported, pass the bot dict into it, and every 60 seconds we will execute the bot. And the execute bot function, what it does is it goes through all of our symbols, it checks the strategy for each of them. If the strategy returns a true signal for any of them, it checks whether we have balance left, and if we have, it places an order on the one that the signal returned. And after that, it checks all the orders that have already been placed to see if they've been filled or not. And if, for example, a buy order has been filled, then it will place its equivalent sell order based on these parameters right here. And also it checks the orders to see whether the current market price is below 10% in this case, of the price that those assets were bought at. And in that case, it cancels the take profit order that was placed for that, and it places a market order, so to exit at a loss, unfortunately. And that's what the execute bot the execute bot function does. So we will be doing this every 60 seconds, and we can stop this loop with a keyboard interrupt, and that's Control C in the terminal. So without much ado, let's see how this thing performs. Okay, of course it wasn't gonna go perfectly from from the start. Here I just needed to add this one. Okay, something happened. Oh, we forgot to call the main function. Somehow I doubt this will be the last error, but yeah, let's just go forward. Okay, so as you can see, this is probably the first data frame. Okay, so it's working. Again, this is probably the first data frame. It's the 15-minute data frame right here, and then it computed all the indicators and then it printed it again. So in the second round, we also have EMA 20 and EMA 50. For some reason, it looks like those things were not computed. No, they were computed, yes. So EMA 20 and EMA 50 are these two, the last two, because we printed it. It didn't print properly, but the first time they weren't computed and the second time they were computed. And then it did the same for all three symbols, link, ETH, and ADA. And right now, it probably didn't find any signal on these ones so far. So right now it says executed the bot loop, now waiting, and now waiting, it's waiting for this 60 seconds, and then it's gonna go back around and do the same thing again. I'm gonna close this loop for now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this thing in VS Code, and VS Code is pretty cool. I like it, and it has this this Explorer, SQLite Explorer, and we can explore the database. So if I go into TA bot, because this one is a TA bot, we can see our bot right here, all the information about it, the name, the starting balance. This is 200, but it's followed by many zeros. It's just a way to make the calculations be more accurate. You don't need to care about this. I'm just letting you know. Then we have the pairs here, the three pairs. Then we have orders, which is empty at this stage, and we have the entry settings and exit settings. Yeah, that's about it for this video. Actually, let me just show you how to run that again, and that is gonna run again. Yeah, it's running again. It didn't create a database again. It's just using the old one, and it's not printing again because we updated the strategy. So as a side effect of this, I'm also showing you that you can actually update the strategy on the fly, on the go, and then run it like that again. So there you have it, folks. This was my video about how to code multi-time frame strategies with Pyjuque. Please let me know your feedback in the comments below if you have any questions, if anything doesn't really make sense about Pyjuque. My name is Tudor, and I like to do algo trading, and I like to teach people about it. So if you need me to help you with a project regarding this space, I'll be happy to help. You can reach me via email, yeah, that's about it. And oh, I'm also doing a course on quantitative trading. It's called From Zero to Quant. I'm doing it with my friend Domingo. He's doing the Spanish language version of it. I'm doing the English language version. So his version is already out. Mine is going to be out soon, within a couple of weeks. And so yeah, if you want a way to get started with quant trading without having known much of trading before, and you know a little bit of Python, that's all you need. You can you know, sign up and get that course. It's on Udemy. It's gonna cost a bit of money, but I personally think it's worth it, and you will get to support me as well. Such a shameless plug. Anyway, yeah, that was it for today. I hope this was useful to you, and let me know what you wanna hear about next. I'll probably post a video about backtesting, and also about strategies that determine when to exit trades as well, not only when to enter, because this strategy in this video was only when to enter trades. So yeah, stay tuned and see you next time. Bye bye.